Hello again, it's Gail Cameron from My Pocket Coach, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Major General Ntsiki Mathebula. This is part of our Leadership Lesson series, and the official invitation for this incredible woman is as follows. Major General Ntsiki is currently the most senior woman in the South African National Defence Force. She has served with distinction in the military for over 3 decades. Ntsiki was recruited into the ANC underground in 1979 and served as a courier between Swaziland and South Africa. In 1987, she was forced to leave the country to go into exile when their commander, Iggy Mathebula, was captured by the security branch. Ntsiki integrated into the SANDF in 1994 to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. She has been awarded the Southern Cross Medal, which is awarded for outstanding service of the highest order and utmost devotion to duty. She has also been awarded several medals for service excellence in our defence forces and has been instrumental in her research on transformation related to HIV, gender-based violence, and the deployment of female soldiers in peacekeeping missions. Ntsiki is the author of The Spear of Hope and a publisher of several articles in professional journals, including Gender Equity in the South African National Defence Force. Ntsiki, it is a great privilege to welcome you to our leadership lessons. So good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So our first question to you is, what is one of the most important leadership lessons that you've learned in your career?
The one leadership lesson that I have learned in my career is that as commanders, it's very important for us to understand that we can only achieve our goals through the support of our subordinates. Therefore, it becomes very important to ensure that they are equipped with the necessary skills and competencies so that they can do this task to the best of their abilities. In addition, it is also important for us to trust them enough to delegate some authority to them, with the understanding that in the execution of any task, mistakes can be committed and it's okay. And lastly, it is also important for us to take care of them and make sure that their needs are met most of the time. I mean, as leaders, we have to also show empathy and support our subordinates whenever they are going through difficult times.
That's so important, Ntsiki, is to be allowed to learn from one's mistakes, because it's a great learning curve. How have you built confidence and or resilience over the course of your career?
My confidence is based on the skill set that I possess for the job, and this has been acquired through formal education and training, and also as a result of the mandatory military development courses that one has to undertake at every level of command. And in addition, I mean, as a lifelong learner, I attend seminars, webinars, and keep myself abreast with the current news in my domain by reading a lot. This has enabled me to be bold enough, to raise my hand in meetings with the knowledge that, my contribution, what I'm about to say, would make sense, and it is worth saying at this particular point. But the cherry on top for me has been executive coaching, because this has enabled me to not only increase my self-awareness, but to also understand the dynamics, you know, of and how to play the game. And as a result, I was able to be bold enough, you know, to approach superiors or peers outside the meetings and make sure that they understand my agenda, and so that when I speak up in meetings, I don't sound like a lone voice in the wilderness. You know, when I say something, somebody must say, I concur with what General Memela Mutume has said. Furthermore, should not be an awkward silence. So I think with executive coaching, it really played a very important role in getting me to really understand the game and how to play it successfully in the advancement of my own agenda.
Thank you. So describe a difficult time when you almost gave up, and what did you do to stay motivated?
I think first and foremost, I love my job, and the fact that I'm able to make a difference and influence the agenda makes me, you know, wake up in the morning feeling very, very, very positive. And despite the fact that in my current position, I have been overlooked for promotion thrice, and I've not given up. If I was somebody else, I would have left and said, they're not promoting me, then I'm throwing my toys out of the court, writing a grievance or whatever. But I didn't, because I feel I'm able to make a contribution. Furthermore, I take inspirations from the likes of Justice Dikgang Moseneka, who was also, overlooked thrice. He served as a deputy chief under 3 chief justices. And he also did not leave. He continued until retirement. So why would I, when this thing is not only happening to me? And the last reason really, it's because I understand very fully that the democracy that we enjoy today was achieved through sweat, blood, and tears.
Yes.
And I consider myself fortunate that I was able to return home, integrate into the SANDF, and end up being a general. So I really have no reason to be given up. I must just stay focused and do what needs to be done. As long as I have the resources and the capabilities, I just need to stay on course, do what needs to be done. So this is why, for me, giving up will never, ever be an option.
I love that, because perseverance is so, so important. You know, so often when things look the darkest, they turn out, to be the best. And when you look at leaders who are successful, it's often the ability to persevere. So thank you for sharing that with us. It is so valuable. So how do you think being a woman impacts your leadership style? Because you are operating in a very patriarchal environment.
Mm-hmm. I think my being there, it brings new dynamics. It means my being at the table must change how the conversation it's going. Not only is it my responsibility to ensure that gender perspectives are incorporated in the pursuit of the SANDF mandate, but it is also my responsibility to ensure that I lift up others as I rise. And again, much as a woman, I'm more sympathetic. I show empathy more. I listen more. But these are also the skills I believe that male colleagues can just as well embrace, much as I'm expected to embrace their own so-called inherent characteristics, such as being bold and decisive. Because I too can then just be as bold and decisive. Therefore, I think being a woman and being part of sitting with those at the table, we just need to understand that there is an agenda to push. You are not just there. It's not an end in itself. It's a means to an end.
I love that, Ntsiki, because, it's so important, especially now in the troubled times of the COVID pandemic, where, they're saying women should be accelerated into positions of leadership as a strategic imperative because they have unique capabilities. So women also tolerate change a lot better than their male counterparts. They are better communicators. They are better at interpreting nonverbal behavior. And they are better at leading egalitarian teams. Of course, that's not always, in the Defence Force, because it's very, very hierarchical. But as you said, there's so many qualities that it really is imperative that boards and decisive leadership elements should be inclusive, have the women leaders there because they do have these unique capabilities. So what is a mistake that you frequently witness that female leaders make?
I think the one mistake that we frequently make as female leaders is that we second guess ourselves. And going forward, we need to trust our instincts. We just need to trust our instincts and be able to speak up in meetings with the understanding that our contribution will definitely contribute towards the decisions or enhance the conversation so that the decisions that are taken are better informed, etc., etc. Therefore, it is very, very important for us to trust ourselves. I mean, women and men are subjected to the same training in the SANDF. So we really have no reason to doubt ourselves. But it is understandable that growing up in a patriarchal society and working in a male-dominated organization, it's not like as women we are encouraged to say, hey, go on, go on. We are expected to be on our own and do as expected. Therefore, we should not doubt ourselves unnecessarily. And the other important thing that I think we need to look at is the question of building solidarity amongst ourselves. We need to support each other and be there and maybe even challenge the notion of this pull head down syndrome. Is it really there? And if it is there, so maybe it is about time that we change that narrative and so that everybody understands that women support each other in the true sense of the word and they are there for each other.
That's beautiful. I love that. And Ntsiki, you talked about the importance of speaking up. How important do you think your self-regard is, and as a result, your self-confidence, developing that is in relation to being able to speak up?
I think being able to speak up, you must also maybe first and foremost have the right skill set, understand what needs to be done and have an agenda. And then once you understand the dynamics, then you'll be able to speak up, because other than that, it does become a bit difficult. And if you're passionate about your job and your agenda, then you know that, we are not here for the sake of being here. We are here because you want to serve. We are here because you want to influence the agenda. We are here because you want to improve the lives of others. So I mean, this is it for me.
Beautiful, thank you. What advice would you like to give to the next generation of female leaders?
The advice that I would give is that first and foremost, we need to accept that we operate in a very fluid environment. Therefore, we need to be open-minded, flexible and adaptable at all times. We don't need, to be very fixated in terms of our ideas. And secondly, I think it's important for us to understand that in the South African context, we rise, we stand on the shoulders of giants. There were women before us who did things that made us to be able to be generals in the SANDF today. And therefore, we need to understand that those gains need to be defended and also consolidated, and the next generation of leaders, if they understand and accept this, they will then understand that each generation has its own battles to fight. It will never be like utopia, we are there. We will never be there. We are not going to be there now, but then we need to understand that we must continuously strive to get to equality, because we are just not there as yet. And the other advice is that they need to be knowledgeable and work very hard in their field of choice. And it is also important for them, you know, to uplift others as they rise. The other important thing is that they also need to understand that if they want to be career women, they don't have to make the sacrifice of, like, you don't have to have children. That can be combined. I mean, it's a question of great planning. I mean, if you plan well, then you can be able to combine your soldier and your soldier and mother role. So the dual roles can easily be combined. And the other thing that I could advise them to do is that they must seek out coaches and mentors out there. And if their organizations can afford to pay for coaches for them, they must then seize those opportunities and then go for coaching, because there's nothing as wonderful as having somebody who'd listen to you, you know, attentively, you know, with understanding, without passing any judgment, and be asking you probing questions as to what are you going to do about this, because that on its own, you know, takes you to a different place. I mean, your potential is maximally enhanced, because then you get clarity in terms of your professional role, and as well as your personal issues. So it's coaching. I believe it's something that all of us should go through, and I think I'm who am I today because of that. Because once your self-awareness is enhanced, then you are able to know, you know, how to play the game, as I said earlier on. And so I would really encourage them to seek out mentors, because there are women out there who have reached the top of their game and are willing to do pro bono coaching as well. So it means they should then find the time, you know, to look out and find them for themselves. And the other very important issue that I'd like to end with is that they must participate in the fight against gender-based violence. It is very, very important for the next generation of leaders, or for all women and men, you know, to be part of this struggle. And as we envisage a South Africa that is prosperous, a South Africa that is equal, a South Africa where women are not subjected to this gender-based violence, I mean, we must make sure that we do not allow patriarchy to re-emerge or rear its ugly head in any form or shape. We just have to defend the gains that we have achieved thus far. So this is indeed an opportunity for us to do things differently and think differently. Therefore, this is the advice that I have for the next generation of women leaders.
Thank you so much, Ntsiki. You are really an inspiration. You are a warrior. And, you know, we are so indebted to you for your incredible service to our country, you know, for more than 30 years. Thank you for being with us today and for your words of wisdom.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.